All right, so this is Daryl Millen. He is our partner on the Browse Acres poultry side. Everything that you see, he's put together. He's built it. He is managing it. So we have Daniel here with the Wagyu, and we have Daryl here with the poultry. So Daryl Millen, everybody. So Daryl, there's a lot of talking about pasture raised, free range, the differences between the two. What are we doing here, and why are we doing it that way?
Well, there's a free range is kind of a big misnomer. It's kind of hijacked by big farm corporations, where free range means chickens are still in a house their whole life, not exposed to the sunshine. They don't have they're on concrete floors, that sort of thing. They just have room to move around, to free range within the building. Pasture raised is what we're doing here. Is very different. They're in the brooder for the first 3 to 4 weeks on deep bedding, not on just plain concrete. They have windows for natural sunlight to come in there. They get fed our custom mixed feed, which is corn and soy free. And then they're brought out here on the pasture, on the grass, with the dirt, with minerals, vitamins to access. And every day they get moved forward, so they're on fresh ground. And so all the manure they left behind, which is about 300 pounds a day in this space, gets left on the ground to build up that soil.
Wow. So I know that a big topic with the poultry, and especially nowadays, is what we're feeding them, what's going into the birds. I mean, we're doing the same thing with the Wagyu. We're very careful on what we feed them because we know that affects what goes into our bodies. So let's talk a little bit about that, our feed, and then also our, hormones and the big H word, that goes into meat nowadays, and what we're doing to avoid all those negatives.
The three main things that make up the lion's share of the feed is barley, wheat, and canola meal. Barley and wheat are replacing our corn, and the canola meal is replacing the soybean meal. And canola meal has been shown to be very high in omega-3s and just be a very, very good, solid protein choice for birds as well as for cattle.
Awesome.
So we raise our chickens 30% longer because they have access to this healthy environment and healthy diet to where they can grow at a more balanced rate and just have a much healthier, leaner, better protein in the end.
So basically what we're feeding them, I mean, these birds in general are just quick grown birds, right? And what we're feeding them, it helps to, help them sustain their growth.
Exactly.
But then also compared to, say, big farms, kind of, the factory farming thing, they usually go to 6 weeks. We're pushing ours out to 8 weeks.
Correct.
They're putting stuff in their food that will help them actually grow quicker. Right? More hormones and the soy and the corn and all that kind of stuff, which isn't necessarily the healthiest. But so we're growing ours out to 8 weeks. You were saying that there's a little bit of a taste difference. They mature a little bit more, right? When you let them grow that much longer.
Right. So
and of course, what we're putting into them will make all the difference.
Exactly. Even if all we did was change the grain, the feed that we give them, it would make a big difference.
So let's talk about the little extra flavor profile for growing them out the extra 2 weeks. Of course, what we put into the birds makes a big difference, but also how we raise them, right? The length of time that we raise them for. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, and we do, like you mentioned, we raise them an extra 2 weeks over industry standard. And 2 weeks might not sound like a lot, but it's 30%. So we're 30% lengthening the life of these birds in the time that they have. Instead of it being 2 weeks, we get 4 weeks on pasture. And what that does to their flavor profile is they just get much more developed. Everyone has referred to chicken as the flavorless meat. It'll take on whatever flavor you put on it, which is true, and it's still true with these, except for the flavorless part. These have a very developed, pronounced flavor. Like if anyone had an old rooster or an old hen or something that they butchered, those end up being really tough, but very, very flavorful. You can only use them really for stews, where our birds are great in that regard, is they're going to have that developed flavor profile. Not as strong, but it's definitely there. But they still end up being a very tender and succulent meat.
You mean it's actually going to taste like chicken?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not just going to be flavorless. Yeah, I've gotten that a lot too with even beef in general, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
compared to what we're offering, it's like it's just it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like it's just kind of like, yeah, that's beef, but then when people try our beef,
Yeah.
they're like, it's so much flavor, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to offer with these birds, and that's why, you know, we went rounds and rounds of what
Yeah.
we're going to put into them, how they're going to be raised,
Correct.
and you know, from the beginning till end, till they're till they're harvested, till
Yeah.
they're processed and sold to the customer.
Yeah,
So
and even how we do the processing and,
Yeah.
that process, the butchering process, we reduce stress as much as we possibly can so that they end up not having the hormones of fear response built up in their systems, so they're calm going into processing and calm throughout it, so they end up just being a much better bird.
awesome. He's the chicken guy.
Yeah. Simple as that.
Yeah.